Coming in hot from Arizona, this is Trevor
and Troy Howard.
And you're on So Tell Us Time. You can have everything you want in your business. Sometimes you just need a little help.
Every business owner would love to charge more for their services, but sometimes you can sacrifice long-term loyalty for a short-term profit.
Creating the right rituals is key to your business having success.
Are you tired of competing with your competitors? Guess what? You don't have to compete if you create.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of So Tell Us Time. Today we have got a great program for you guys. It is exciting. January is basically almost over. We've only got a couple of days left, and so that's crazy. We're already into February. I can't even believe it. I think that for me, 2023 flew by, and so I think that 2024 is going to fly by as well. But I also believe that 2024 is probably going to be some of the best that we've seen in a while. So I'm excited for that. I know that we've got a lot of stuff going for us on our side. We've been implementing, again, everything we talk about in So Tell Us Time is stuff we're implementing in our business. So we're right there with you. And I can tell you that a lot of this stuff that we've been implementing from 2023 is really making a big effect, and it's going to help us in 2024 just absolutely crush it. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about maximize your business before expanding it. Because a big problem that we see over and over and over again with companies when we're doing consulting is that they have not even maximized what they're currently doing, and they're already either moving on to a new service or new location. They're expanding, but they haven't even maximized what they are currently doing, which is just absolutely crazy. You're leaving money on the table. So I'm not going to go too far into it. I'm going to let Troy jump in right now. Let's get going.
Absolutely. So today we're going to share two different case studies with you. The first one is in regards to expanding territories. So, sometimes in business, we want every job that we can possibly get. So we expand the area that we service before we can even support that area. And we see this all the time, like Trevor said. So we're going to talk about, someone that we were consulting with recently, and they added another location to their service area before they filled up their first location. So they actually have like a brick and mortar location in one city. And they were like, man, I really want to get into this other city over here. I think that's where there's going to be even more money. People are going to be willing to pay more money. So I want to get into there as quickly as possible. And so they started making moves. They leased an office. Yeah. They, basically were, incurring expenses without actually being ready to go there. And when we sat down and met with them, we're like, okay, let's take a look at your first location. And okay, how busy is your first location? I'm assuming you're booked up 5 days a week. And they're like, no, we're actually only open 3 days a week in that office. Okay, hold on. Wait a minute. So we're moving over to another city, but we're only actually filling up the calendar 3 days a week in the current city that we're in. And they're like, yes, right? And as we sat down with them and Trevor, went through the budget of, look, here's what it's going to take to market in this new city, they were shocked. And they're like, oh my gosh, right? I don't have money to actually spend on marketing over in that city. Mm-hmm. The money I have right now is going to the marketing of my current city, and I can't add any more money to that. So can we just split the budget between the two? And what did you say, Trevor?
Absolutely not. All you're going to do is spread that budget thinner. And that means current location is going to get less leads, less sales, and doesn't guarantee that it's going to be a big enough budget, which I already knew it was not going to be a big enough budget for the new location to actually generate anything. So. Yeah,
absolutely. And then the next thing we addressed with them, we said, okay, great. Let's talk about, the schedule over there in that location. So, what hours or what times are you going to have available for people to meet with you? And they're like, well, only, 4 hours on every Monday. And it's like, wait, hold on. What? the office is only going to be open for like 4 hours on a Monday. And they're like, well, yeah, because our staff is over in this location and we can't afford to pay for staff in that location until that location is producing revenue. And we're like, wait a minute, how are we going to produce revenue if there's no staff on that location,
Yeah, you
right?
have no availability.
Yeah, there's no availability. And they were in a tough place, and they knew they were in a tough place, right? As they even put it themselves, it's like the chicken before, the chicken and the egg. Which one comes first?
But remember, it's
Um,
self-inflicted. And
yes.
that's a lot of times we do that to ourselves, right? Right. It's self-inflicted. And now they're going, well, how do we get out of this jam? Well, you shouldn't have put yourself in it in the first place.
Yeah. So let's talk about like the correct plan, how you should do something like this. First and foremost, that you got to maximize the marketing budget for your first location or your first area that you're servicing, right? Make sure that you're spending the maximum that you can spend and still get a great ROI on that money in that first location, right? So in their case, we're like, look, you need to fill up the first location 5 days a week. You need to have that place humming before you expand into a new territory. And the reason why is because when the first location is generating a ton of revenue because you're absolutely full, that's going to actually be able to pay for the expansion into the new city, right? Whereas right now, instead of by doing it the way they did it, it's like, well, now I need to have clients in that new city to pay for that expansion. Well, wait a minute. How are you going to have new clients in the new city when you can't afford the employees in the new city, right? So the correct plan is maximize what you've got, generate additional revenue, generate additional profits that you can then invest into expanding into that new area, right? Anything you want to add on that one, Trevor?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's that chicken before the chicken or the egg type of situation, like we sometimes put ourselves into these our own conundrums here where what they should have done, and actually we did advise it, but it just got lost in translation somewhere, or sometimes they just get excited and they want to move forward with something, that there was a lot more that could be done currently that then, like you said, funds the next thing, and eases. Now they're stressed, but they could have made this transition and it could have been seamless and very painless. But so,
Yep. All right. So, case study number 2, we're going to talk about expanding your services. And, and I just want to point out that especially a lot of businesses had a rough 2023. So, they're looking at how do I make 2024 better? And they're going, man, do I need to go into a new city? Do I need to offer more services? They're looking for whatever they can. And that's great. You want to look for options out there, but you just want to make sure that you're doing it the right way, that you're not expanding before you should. So in this second case study, this one, sometimes we want every single job so bad that we expand our services before we're actually ready to do so. Right? We might add in additional services that we didn't offer before because one of our clients says, "Hey, do you do this?" Yeah, sure. Yeah, I do that because I want more money from that client, right? And so we were talking to a client and they had customers that were asking if they provided another service. And they didn't actually provide that service. But they said, you know what, let's jump into it. We want to do it. We want to make as much money as we can from these customers. So they jumped into this new service because they just wanted the work. They didn't want that money to go somewhere else. And what ended up happening was this new service had a large investment in equipment that came with it. It had a large investment in materials and in labor that they didn't, know was going to be there up front. So then, of course, because of those large investments, they found out that the profit margins were way lower than their current services that they were offering. So, just to give you an example, I'm just throwing numbers out there. These aren't their numbers, but let's just say on their current services, they had a, 40% profit margin on that service. And now with the new one, because of all these additional costs, they're like at 10 to 15%. So all of a sudden they're going, man, we're working really hard for a lot smaller profit off of this. You know, and the other thing they realized is that they had way more liability with the new service because of materials, because of the labor, because of how much more intricate and complicated this new service was. If something went wrong, there's a lot more liability that they had to fix. Um, and as you all know, when you're doing something new for the first time, a lot of times you mess up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then you got to fix it. So there's a lot more liability there. So now actually they're thinking about maybe dropping that service altogether.
Yeah, and I
But
remember the funny thing was they were so excited. They were so excited about this new service, and they like changed marketing. They like even shifted marketing dollars towards it and all this stuff. They were so excited about it. And then here, time goes by, and they're like, "Ah, crap. I think we're just gonna get rid of it." And we even kind of again, we're not gonna force somebody to listen to us, but we do. We are paid to advise, and we've done this a long time, and we had even said like, we know this is working with the marketing budget, but we don't know that that's going to work. And all you're going to do is you're shifting budget. You're not adding additional budget. You're shifting budget. So what does that mean for the existing services? Less, less. So
yep,
now you're hit on both sides. You're hurt on both sides. So think about that. If you're going to expand a service, you might have to expand that budget too.
yep, absolutely. So, you know, the correct way to address this was first, you know, never jump the gun on a new service.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how exciting it might be, and you're like, oh man, these people are going to pay me X amount of dollars right now, don't jump the gun.
Yeah.
Talk to someone who's already doing it and get the real numbers from them. You know, not probably obviously not a competitor in your area because they're not going to want to talk to you,
Yeah.
but talk to someone outside of your area that is already doing that service and see what they say. Understand the numbers, understand your investment, understand the profits. What is it really going to be worth to you? And then take that and figure out how many jobs would you have to sell of your current service to make that profit versus how many jobs do you have to do up for the new service to make the same amount of profit, right? And see if it's worth it. Compare the two. So the other thing you want to do is look at the marketing cost and the competition ahead of time. That is so important. A lot of times people jump, like Trevor said, they jump in, they're like, well, shoot, marketing for this is way more expensive. I can't afford this, you know, or man, the competition's insane in this area,
Yep.
but I've already bought all the equipment, you know, so look at that first. And then come up with a budget that you can really commit to spend to grow that service.
Yes.
You know, don't just assume that, as Trevor said, that you can take your existing marketing budget, shave off a piece of it, and then that's going to fund this new service.
Yeah.
Because very, very rarely does that ever work.
Yeah.
No. Never, probably.
No. It just means less business on the side that's already working, hopefully, you know?
Exactly. And then the final thing is I want you to take time and compare profit margins to referral fees, meaning that if you just referred that business over to someone else who already does it and they gave you a referral fee, how much would you make off of that referral fee versus actually having to do all the work yourself? And I'll give you a perfect example of this. We had a client who's in the water damage and restoration business. He looked at going into like asbestos and mold. And he thought, after looking into it, he's like, man, I got to have these licenses. I got to have this. I got to have that. I'm going to have additional crew that are trained on that. And he's like, man, this is a big investment. So instead, he just went out and he found one of the best companies in the area that did that. And he said, hey, look, I have clients that have water damage that need your services. And what would you pay me? And they said, you know what? We would absolutely give you a 10% commission.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, whoa, these could be like a $4,000, $10,000, $20,000 job to take care of this. So you're telling me I can get paid $2,000 and all I did was pick up the phone and refer somebody over to you? Much better business model for him, right?
Yep.
No upfront cost, 100% profit coming in the door off of that referral fee. So take a look at that as well, because that may be the way to generate the additional revenue you want without actually spending the money. Anything else, Trevor, you want to add?
No, that's perfect. I think this is jam-packed, guys, with really good information. So honestly, listen to it again. get on YouTube, watch this episode, write down, take notes, because seriously, this is a big thing that people do. They run before they walk. Like, why would you do that? Why would you run before you're like the best person at walking? Like, don't stumble. Like, you're stumbling and falling, running, and because you're not even doing a good job walking. And it actually happens a lot. That's why we're talking about it today. It happens a lot. We've had several people just this year, and it's only been a month of the year, that have come to us, and this is their problem. This is what they've done. So that's why we're talking about it. All right, let's jump into the homework. Are you guys thinking about expanding your services or your territories? Well, then you need to really take a look at it this week and determine, are you currently maximizing the territories you're in or the services that you're already in? And if the answer is no, you have no business doing the expanding yet.
Yes.
So focus on maximizing first, then comes the expanding. And I promise it will be easier. It'll feel lighter. You'll be happier that you took the extra time to do that, because it's never fun to have a good thriving business. And I know a company, I know several, but just one that they had a really good thriving business. They expanded to another location. That location started to suck them down, and they ended up losing the entire business because the one was profitable, but not maximized profits. And then the other one became a profit sucker, and it ended up just killing the whole business, which was really sad because they had done a really good job. They could have just kept the existing one, maximized it, and they were already making a ton of money. I'm talking, this is like one was making millions, the other one, but it could have made a lot more. And the other one started sucking millions. And it was sad to see that kind of a business go away. So think about it, guys, and make that educated decision. That's what this one's about, is making that educated decision. We love you guys. We appreciate you. We are so happy every week when we get to spend time with you guys. And we will catch you guys on the next episode of So Tell Us Time.